day, class. I am Sir J. Lord Manalo Kasilang. You can call me Sir J, and I am your physical science teacher for the whole second semester. So for our lesson, we have the emergence of ideas about atom. I know that you already have your knowledge about elements and their abundance in the universe. So as our review, when we say element, it is a pure substance that is made up of one kind of atom. So, it cannot be broken down into simpler components by any non-nuclear chemical reaction. When we say element again, it is uniquely determined by the number of protons in the nuclei of its atoms. Right? When we say atom naman, it is the basic unit of matter. So, it can be divided without the release of electrically charged particles. So class, did you know that the idea of an atom came from Greek philosophers? So there are Greek philosophers who contributed their ideas about atoms. Unahin natin yung dalawa, Philosophers and Democritus. I want you to know that their ideas or theories were more philosophical and logical compared to other philosophers na nag-contribute ng ideas nila about elements and atoms. So, Philosophers, he is the one who proposed the idea of an atom. He is the first one, and he believed that all things are made up of tiny, indivisible particles. Si Democritus naman, siya yung estudyante ni Philosophers. So, for Democritus, atoms were small. They are hard particles that were all made of the same material but were different in shapes and sizes. Sabi niya rin that atoms are infinite in number. They are always moving and capable of joining together. So for Aristotle naman, he believed that all things are made up of four elements. Ano yung four elements na yun? Yung earth, fire, water, and air. Noong mga panahon na yun, si Aristotle yung pinakasikat or kumbaga siya yung pinaka-namamayagpag ng mga panahon na yun. Typing skills niya. That's why siya yung mas pinaniwalaan ng mga tao. And Dalton's atomic theory. So, the idea of atomic theory was revived by John Dalton class 2,000 years after Democritus first proposed about it. He suggested that all matter was made up of tiny spheres that were able to bounce around with perfect elasticity and called them atoms. So he performed a number of experiments, marami siyang experiments ginawa, and eventually it led to the acceptance of the idea of atoms. Okay, so si Dalton naman. Dalton, he formulated his theory based on Anton LaBourgeois law of conservation and law of definite proportion. When we say law of conservation, the total mass of a substance before and after a complete reaction are equal. Kapag sinabi naman natin law of definite proportions, elements combine in a fixed proportion to form a compound. Yan. So there are four major postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. Number one, matter is composed of small indivisible particles called atoms. Number two, atoms of the same elements are identical. Number three, compounds contain atom for more than one element. And number four, in a compound, atoms of different elements always combine in the same way. Okay. Now, let us proceed to the discovery of protons, electrons, and neutrons. In 1886 class, C. Goldstein, he discovered the positively charged subatomic particle as a component of atom trace. Then, si Ernest Rutherford naman, he coined the term proton for the positively charged particles in an atom. Then, using the CRT experiment, yung tinatawag natin cathode ray tube experiment, si J.J. Thomson naman, na-discover niya that an atom is also composed of negatively charged particles which was named electrons. Okay? Tandaan yan. Meron siyang mathematical model na tinatawag or yung Thomson model. He proposed a model of the atom that is sometimes called the Lamb-Paddy model. So, based on this observation, atoms were made from a positively charged substance with negatively charged electron scattered about like raisins in a pudding. Then, for Ernest Rutherford, nag-proceed tayo naman sa kanya, he verified Thomson's atomic model by conducting his cold foil experiment using naturally occurring radioactive substances that emitted alpha rays. Then, ito yung mga observations niya, no? Na-observe niya that most of the alpha particles pass through the gold foil undeflected. And some alpha particles pass through the gold foil with large angles of deflection. Tapos yung pangatong observation niya, sabi niya, a smaller number of alpha particles bounce back in the direction from which they came. Let's proceed to Niels Bohr naman. He proposed 3 postulates. So his number 1 postulates, sabi niya, an electron can revolve around an atom following its specified orbital. Number 2, an electron does not emit radiation if it revolves only around its allowed orbital. And number 3, moving from one orbital to another, which is called quantum leap, will allow the electron to gain or lose energy. Okay. So that ends our lesson for the emergence of ideas about atom. Note class that you may also do your own research for the betterment of your understanding. But remember that if you have questions, feel free to message me on my Facebook or Messenger account, J. Okay? So now, let's proceed to our next lesson. Our next lesson is Polarity and Intermolecular Forces of Attraction. So, polarity. Kapag narinig natin yung word na polarity, what comes to your mind? Okay. Ano nga ba? So in physics, polarity is the separation of electric charge that leads to a molecule or its chemical groups having an electric dipole moment with a negatively charged end and a positively charged end. I want you to know, class, that there are 3 types of bond, ano? But before that, let's remember this symbol. Ayan. So, this symbol stands for Electronegativity Difference. Tandaan niyo yun, guys. So, saan nga ba natin yan makikita? Short term bilang ano? Tingnan niyo yung periodic table of elements ninyo. Mas maganda sana yung periodic table of elements ninyo is updated, yung pinaka-latest. So, for example, is hydrogen. Ang electronegativity ng isang element is makikita natin dito. Okay? When we say electronegativity, it is the ability of an atom in a chemical bond to attract electrons toward it. Yan. So, sabi ko nga kanina, there are 3 types of bond. The non-polar covalent bond, the polar covalent bond, and ionic bond. So, in order to know the type of bond, there is the so-called electronegativity difference. So, paano natin malalaman yun? Let us explain this first. So, kapag ang electronegativity value is greater than or equal to 2.0, ang tawag doon is ionic bond. Kapag naman ang electronegativity value is greater than 0.5 but less than 2.0, ang tawag doon is polar covalent bond. Kapag naman ang electronegativity value is greater than 0 and less than or equal to 0.5, that is non-polar covalent bond. For more example and further explanation, let's watch this video. For our example class, meron tayo dito naka-prepare na representation of rating kung paano natin malalaman kung non-polar covalent, polar covalent, or ionic bond yung kanilang bonding. Yung bonding ng mga elements, ano? May naka-prepare din naman tayo dito na periodic table, mas maigi meron kayo nito para nalalaman nyo yung electronegativity value ng bawat element. So, for our first example, we have the sodium chloride. Ang symbol niya is NaCl kasi yan ay combination ng sodium at chlorine. Okay, pag nagsusolve tayo, subtraction to guys, ano? Yung Cl, siya yung ilalagay natin dito. Yan, Cl. Yan yung symbol ng chlorine. Yan yung magiging minuend natin, kumbaga, kung magre-refer tayo sa mathematics. So, itong Na naman, siya yung magiging subtrahend natin, guys. Na, yung sodium. Siya yung magiging subtrahend natin. So, next step, ang gagawin natin, hahanapin natin sa periodic table yung kanilang electronegativity. So, yung Cl, ito ang Cl. Ang kanyang electronegativity value is 3.0. 3.0 electronegativity value. At yung Na naman, hanapin din natin siya sa periodic table. Ayun, ang kanyang electronegativity value is 0.9. 0.9 electronegativity value. So, ang gagamitin natin operation ay subtraction. Okay? Para may total natin yan, all over. Gamitin natin tong sign na to, electronegativity value. Ang kanyang total, 3.0 minus 0.9 is equal to 2.1. Okay? Nagets nyo ba? So, since this is 2.1, tingnan natin siya sa rating. This is 2.0. Ang kasunod niya is 2.1. So, nandito na siya, ano? Sakop siya ng ionic band. Therefore, the bonding of sodium chloride is, the bonding of sodium and chlorine, or what we call sodium chloride, is ionic band. Okay? Ionic band. Ionic band. So, for our second example naman is hydrogen chloride. Sabi ko kanina, ito ang ilalagay natin dito as our minuend, Cl. And yung hydrogen naman, siya yung ilalagay natin dito as our subtrahend. Then next, hanapin natin yung value ng chlorine. Yan, 3.0 ano? Nasa periodic table yan, 3.0. 3.0. Hanapin din naman natin yung value ng hydrogen. Ang value ng hydrogen ay 2.1. 2.1. So, ang gagamitin natin operation is subtraction. So, 3.0 minus 2.1 is equal to 0.9 electronegativity value. Ano? Yan. So, since it is 0.9, hanapin natin siya dun sa ating rating. Kung nasaan siya. 0.9, okay. 0.5, 2.0. So, andito siya. 0.9 dito sa banda. So, nasasakop siya ng polar covalent band. Therefore, yung band din ng hydrogen at chlorine, or pag sa madaling salita, siya ay hydrogen chloride, siya ay polar covalent. Okay? Kapag naman sa third example natin, yung hydrogen gas, ang ating third example, H2 ang kanyang symbol kasi dalawang hydrogen. Therefore, ang magiging minuend at subtrahend natin ay hydrogen, ano? Hydrogen. Hydrogen. So, hanapin natin yung value ng hydrogen. Ang electronegativity value ng hydrogen is 2.1. 2.1. 2.1. So, ang gagamitin nating operation is subtraction. Therefore, ang electronegativity value niya or electronegativity difference niya is 0. 0 electronegativity value. Okay? Hanapin naman natin siya dito sa ating rating. Yung 0, ito siya. Ito siya. Therefore, it is non-polar covalent bond. Non-polar covalent bond. Okay? Okay. As a review, we have 3 types of bond, as you can remember. Ionic bond, polar covalent bond, and non-polar covalent bond. Let's proceed. There is the so-called intermolecular forces. So pag sinabi natin intermolecular forces, it holds the molecules together which can be attractive or repulsive class. And when we say inter-ionic forces naman, these are forces that hold ions together. So, intermolecular and inter-ionic forces of attraction. Number 1, meron tayong tinatawag na dispersion forces or London forces. When we say dispersion forces, it is the weakest intermolecular force because it is a temporary attractive force. Dispersion force exists when the electrons in 2 adjacent atoms attract and induce. Number 2 naman is the dipole-dipole forces. When we say dipole-dipole forces, these are attractive forces existing in polar molecules. Remember that all polar molecules have partial negative and partial positive end, which are attracted to each other. This is much bigger than ionic or covalent bond class. Next is the ion dipole forces that exist between the attraction and dipole molecules. So the partial charges or the partial changes at the ends of the dipole molecules make an ion dipole attraction possible. When we say ion-ion interaction naman, it is the interaction between an attractive force between ion with opposite charges. They are also referred to as ionic bonds and are the forces that holds together ionic compounds. So next is hydrogen bond. Kapag sinabi naman natin hydrogen bond, it is a special type of dipole-dipole interaction between the hydrogen atom in a polar molecule and the highly electronegative atoms. So it is an interaction between a partial positive hydrogen and slightly negative atom in another molecule. Okay. So as a recap, there are things to remember, class, no? So make a review about these concepts. So for the emergence of ideas about the atom, so kindly review and remember for the contributions of different Greek philosophers. Discuss natin kanina. Major postulates of Dalton's atomic theory, discovery of protons, electrons, and neutrons, and in the polarity and intermolecular forces naman of attraction. Kindly review and remember for the types of polarity, electronegativity difference and type of bonds, intermolecular and interionic forces of attraction. So, that's all our lesson for this week. Always enjoy class, enjoy your module. Good luck and God bless you all.